Yeah, let's talk about fear in pregnancy and specifically fear with pregnancy after loss. Congratulations on hitting 20 weeks. That is amazing. First off, fear is something that's going to hit all of us. So it doesn't matter if we have had losses in the past. And really outside of pregnancy, obviously, fear is always going to try and be present, whether we're doing something that God is asking us to do, or we're just living life, good or bad, fear is always going to be present. So it's not an indication that you're doing anything wrong. It's certainly not something that you can really power through on your own. Now, as a Christian, there are things that I know that I can do to combat fear. Binding and loosing, just confronting what it is that is trying to get a hold of me and where the roots are in that. So I don't know what you believe, but even practically, in addition to that, going to war in the spirit, so to speak, against the spirit of fear, you can actually just practically write down all the fears that you have. Write everything down. Now, if you're a Christian, you could go and write the truth about what God says about all of those fears. If you're not a Christian, there are more practical steps that you could take. And honestly, wherever you fall on this, the best thing you could do is to write it out and then also come up with the opposite of whatever it is you're fearing. So what happens if all of this works out? Like, what happens if you make it to full term and your baby's completely healthy and you don't have any complications or further complications if you have had some? Like, what if it really all works out? Fear really warps the mind. And the more that we give into it, the more that it's going to shape our perspective. And so sometimes we forget that, by the way, things could totally go completely the right way, in the right direction. And so it's easy to overlook that or think that you either don't deserve it or it's not going to happen for you because of what's happened in the past. And the truth is that this pregnancy is not the same as the previous pregnancy or any other pregnancy. Every pregnancy is different. And just because you have one complication in one does not necessarily mean that it's going to happen in every single pregnancy. And that's just the truth. Any doctor will tell you that. I know a lot of Christians that would beat themselves up. They wouldn't want to admit to feeling fear. They wouldn't want to confront that sort of thing and just kind of shove it down, just for feeling shame, or maybe they're not believing hard enough, or not. And the thing is like, that's such crap. Like, that's just not the truth. And the thing you want to do is confront it, but you need to be aware that little bouts of fear, like little attacks, little moments, that's one thing. But if you're having constant fear, constant terror, constant panic, that's something different. If you feel completely overwhelmed with fear, or you really are experiencing panic, and it's all the time, it's constant, or even if it's not constant, when it does come, it is just like, what is going on? This isn't even like me. This is out of character. Look for these things, because that might be a sign to go ahead and talk to your doctor. It's probably going to be good to find a therapist that can help you as well. And you have to remember that could also be signs of medical conditions in pregnancy. It can be a sign of, postpartum. You can have that before you give birth. That doesn't just happen, after you have a baby. So there are things to watch out for. And if this becomes too much for you, or anybody who's watching this, I don't mean to single you out. If it were to become too much for me, I would have to let my doctor know. And I already have, a therapist. So I would let her know. And just having, the conversation and being able to say, okay, actually, I think that this is beyond what I should really have to deal with. This is too much to deal with. That could give you so much peace as well. Of course, only you can know, if this is like little bouts, little things like, oh, I mean, there's going to be fear, pregnancy after loss, and navigating that is going to look different for each of us. So that's one thing. But again, if you feel like it's too much, or again, anybody listening to this, if you feel like it's too much, this may not be normal, it's always good to check in with your doctor. My prayer for you and for really all of us would be that we are able to truly feel the joy that we get supplied from the Holy Spirit through Jesus. I mean, it is supernatural because it doesn't make sense. Like if I were to tell you, oh yeah, I actually have had an abundance of joy during all of this, even when we had the complication with my uterus and all of that, so much joy because God has really ordered our steps. And so little bouts of fear, but not overwhelming fear, that's truly supernatural in my opinion, because logically it shouldn't be that way. So as you cast your cares to God through Jesus, cast meaning throw, like literally throw all your fears at God. I pray that there is a true refreshment and renewal for all of us. And like a true renewal of joy, and just joy to rain down. And so the whole pregnancy, no matter what, there are the inconveniences of pregnancy they can be kind of rough. There's still joy in these moments. It doesn't mean you can't be in pain or have to lie to yourself. It's not about that. It's really about receiving this from the Lord and saying, you know what, God, you're in control. I'm not. I trust you. I choose to enjoy every single moment. And you know what? If fear tries to come in, I'm going to combat that immediately. So again, I don't mean to single you out, and I really appreciate you sharing what's on your heart and what you're really going through. Like I said, we have all dealt with fear in pregnancy, and specifically pregnancy after loss. It's very real. The battle is very real. So I hope that you have a full and joyful pregnancy. I hope you can enjoy every moment. Take care.